And that report on one of our main stories, it could well be a worldwide legal precedent, a multinational charged with complicity in crimes against humanity. French cement giant Lafarge also placed under formal investigation for financing terrorists. Lafarge is suspected of paying nearly 13 million euros through middlemen to ISIS and other militant groups to keep its plant in northern Syria running long after other foreign companies had pulled out. Julia Seeger explains.
When the civil war spread to northern Syria in 2011, French cement maker Lafarge decided not to close its factory. To keep production going and safeguard its installation, it got in touch with several armed groups in the region, including Kurdish forces and the Free Syrian Army. It allegedly paid taxes to middlemen and negotiated safe passage for its trucks and employees. It was an important contributor to the local economy, and the Kurdish majority population in the area wanted production to continue as well. But when the Islamic State group began taking control of towns around the factory in 2013, the tide turned, and the world leader in construction materials was forced to cut deals with the jihadist group.
They had control in Raqqa. They were on this list, so they received some support from our local partner.
But as the Islamic State organization tightened its grip on the region, it started imposing permits to access the factory and pledged to arrest any employee lacking the right documentation. Lafarge, too, imposed its own conditions. Any employee failing to show up to work would be suspended without pay. Dozens of workers were kidnapped. Lafarge negotiated their release and continued nonetheless to operate the cement factory. The final evacuation from the plant took place on September 19, 2014. That day, Islamic State group militants took control of the site.
Well, joining us now, France 24's Dorothée Kellou, who broke the French part of this story after a lengthy investigation. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
This could be a legal precedent worldwide. Your reaction to this handing up of these formal investigation charges?
It's indeed a very unprecedented decision to charge Lafarge with abetting crimes against humanity. And I think that even before having a CEO of a worldwide French company being placed under formal investigation was also unprecedented. So we have two unprecedented cases here in this example.
And the fact that it's, again, as you say, not an individual, but an actual company that's being charged.
Yeah. To this day, I mean, it was only individuals placed under formal investigation, and now it's a company. So it's really shedding light on the dysfunction of an entire company, and not just only putting, responsibility on the shoulders of individualities during the war in Syria. So I think it's a quite, I would say, alarming and warning for other companies when working in war zones areas, and maybe tempted by payments to armed groups so that their factories can continue to function. So I think it's a very unprecedented decision from the French justice.
Yeah, and could set examples elsewhere around the globe. The lawyers for what's now Holcim Lafarge, because the Swiss have bought out the company since all this happened. They say they're going to fight it all the way, and they're pointing the finger at the French government.
Lafarge will appeal against these charges. Lafarge Holcim, because there was a merger between Lafarge and Holcim in 2015, and most of the time they actually point the finger at the French authorities, saying they actually encourage us to stay, so that it was a very big investment by Lafarge. And even at the time of this investment in 2010, the French authorities were very much present, and even as a negotiating partner with the Syrian government. So they very much facilitated these ties, and we are now in a post-reconstruction phase. The war is, over in some parts of Syria, and there were potential gains for the reconstruction. So maybe it was a reason for the French authorities to encourage Lafarge to stay, and also because the French authorities, very early on, the French Foreign Ministry had closed its embassy in 2012, so they didn't have any kind of information like from the ground. Verified information. So having a company like Lafarge still in Syria, in the north of Syria, was certainly a very good source of information for the French intelligence. And this was actually confirmed by a former head of safety operation in Paris, who said that he met very regularly the French intelligence in Paris and gave all kind of information he could collect and have received.
And activists who've been the ones who've brought this case, they say they want to see, on the stand at least, the former foreign minister, Laurent Fabius at the time, and the heads of military intelligence.
Yeah, it has become a very big case, and I was very surprised myself, looking at the process since my investigation was published, that, in the beginning, the French Parliament, there was a committee that actually said that Lafarge had not paid even indirectly funded armed groups, including the Islamic State group. And now we have, since the opening of a judicial inquiry, more and more information about the role of and the knowledge of Lafarge and the shareholders and the French authorities and the French Foreign Ministry, and so it's becoming a very big case at the moment.
All right, we haven't heard the last of it, is what you're saying. Dorothée Kellou, I want to thank you for joining us.